TV10 and 55 Focus continues.
And welcome back. I'm Richard Rose with Jim Daddario from Daddario & Company, and as I say, world-renowned for guitar strings, been in business for 106 years, employing 800 people. Just to show you how we're all getting used to the dominance of China now, the emerging dominance. I keep saying yen, it's the yuan, of course, and I know that, but people are so used to using, you know, we're not that familiar with these currencies. A lot of this is new territory for America. There's a certain amount of naivety in dealing with some of these countries, is there not?
Sure, absolutely. And you know, we learned a lot very early on in the 70s when we started going to international fairs and we started learning how to deal with each different nation. But now that it's opened up and we can deal with, you know, what was the Iron Curtain before and behind the Iron Curtain and now China, I mean, it is a challenge to keep up with everything.
Now you wonder the politics of this. I can't imagine this being a Democrat alone issue, yet in the House of Representatives you have the Republican speaker holding it up because he fears it'll set off a trade war, demanding that President Obama signal whether or not he'd even veto this bill because the president's administration has said they really don't want to go down this road. So is this a partisan issue as far as American business trying to get the ear of an elected official to help them out?
Well, I really am, honestly, from my opinion, I'm kind of fed up with hearing this Republican, Democratic, Tea Party, block this, block that. I mean, it's sad that we have such a stalemate going on in Washington that they can't agree on some basic things to help our economy and create jobs. It really is kind of almost sinful. So if it's being blocked for political reason, that's really a shame. I think the president has to lead on this issue, and if he should work with the Congress, both branches, to make sure the bill is written in a way that he wouldn't veto it and do something about it.
Yeah, because Republicans feel like if they do allow a vote to come up, and they're big believers in free trade as part of the Republican philosophy, so this makes them go against that a little bit, so it's a core issue for them. But if they did do it because they see it's harming business, they don't want the rug pulled out from under them by the president, who then makes a symbolic veto gesture to say, hey, look, I'm not going to be a China basher, and then try to portray Republicans that way. I think that's the fear.
It's silly stuff. Why can't they just sit around a table and agree and do what's right for the country?
There's so many issues like that, and that's what's making it frustrating for people to try to get some consensus out of Washington so we can move forward, because these are critical times. Now, your company, how is it doing in general, would you say?
We're doing great. You know, we've been, like I said, very proactive with investing in our company over the years. The extended tax cut bill at the beginning of this year had a great provision in it, which I think really helped businesses and should be continued, in that this year any capital expenditures that you do make, you could depreciate 100% in 1 year instead of having to deduct them over a series of years. So that makes it easier to afford to do more. So we upped our capital spending a great deal because of that. And you know, I think they underestimate how businesses will react to these breaks, that if you give them the incentive to do things here in America, smart business guys will come forward and invest.
I would imagine you'd be somebody who'd want to hire to try to get this country moving again. Does the environment allow you to hire right now?
Yeah, well, you know, if you do the job right, you can. I mean, I started a Make It Here program 2.5, 3 years ago, where I looked at the things we were buying in China during the recession here, and I said, well, you know, let's look at our biggest selling items that we're importing. And we started bidding them out. If we couldn't make them ourselves, we started bidding them out in America. And we got some very competitive quotes, and we were able to move back several key items, actually almost over a dozen key items that, you know, we went from importing 90% of a particular brand that we have of accessories to only importing 65%, and we're continuing to lower it. So I think if you invest creatively, you design your products right, and you build the right tooling or the right machinery and the right systems in place, you can compete.
Now, you've been working with the Long Island Regional Planning Council. Tell me about that.
Yeah, this is, you know, the governor has split up the state into 10 economic regions, Nassau and Suffolk being the Long Island region, and he's created a regional economic council in each area, and we have to submit a 5-year strategic plan for our region by November 14th, and then the 4 best plans out of the 10 will be awarded a larger share of the economic development funds.
Now, a lot of this the attention goes to things like the Nassau Hub, or there's a Ronkonkoma Hub. Are you somehow tied into any of that?
Well, we are, you know, being on the committee, we will be reviewing in the next 2 weeks all the applications. So that's one or two of the things that have been suggested. I put in a Make It in New York program based on my Make It Here initiative that I just explained to you.
That Congressman Israel saying made in the USA,
and then
similar to that.
Yeah, and Congressman Israel is proposing perhaps a piece of legislation to bring jobs back. Hey, Apple sells 22 million iPhones a quarter. You mean they can't make a factory to make that here? What's the incentive for them to invest in a factory? Maybe we need to be looking at those kind of things to create those jobs.
How much money? We have just a minute. How much money do you think you could get for this region? What kind of a pie are you drawing from?
There's a basic $200 million, and the 4 best plans will get 40 million of it. And then there's another 800 million in all the various 29 other agencies that will be awarded to some of these projects.
Well, then it's significant that the proposals be well explained and,
Yes.
and well thought out, and we appreciate your efforts on that part, because I know people around here are definitely looking for some jobs. Yeah. Jim Daddario, Chief Executive Officer for Daddario & Company, making guitar strings and dealing with the same kind of issues every company in America is dealing with right now. Thank you for being here.
Pleasure.
And thank you for being there. I'm Richard Rose. Be sure to join us next week for yet another edition of Focus.